Welcome to another measured Koolaid report on the OTA clues to look for. So this is something that's very important to me because I definitely believe that we are a Super Bowl team, the Dallas Cowboys. I think they have the talent to do it. So at this point, it's going to be about looking for the different tweaks and clues that could put us over the hump. Because see, a lot of people don't, speak glowingly about the Dallas Cowboys, but more so it's a lot of envy, it's a lot of playing to the hater crowd, a lot of foolishness that goes on when it comes down to covering the Dallas Cowboys, and a lot of it is just honestly fake news, not authentic, just wee woo, just straight up
Wrong. It's all fake news. It's phony stuff. It didn't happen.
So when you come into these channels where they're independent, Boss Cowboy Sports and channels like mine, you go hear the real and what to look for and what's going to put us over the hump. So one of the things is obviously what they're going to do with Mazzy. So the key to look for and what we've been hearing about, one of the keys to look for when we dealing with what are we seeing out of OTAs, because you're not going to see his value like for real until the pads come on. So one of the things to look for is his stance, because the Dallas Cowboys have been letting a lot of clues out on the vision that they have for him. They don't envision him to be just a run stopper. The vision that they have for Mazzy is to be an overall impactful defensive tackle, where they're looking for him to not only be a run stopper and somebody that's able to protect these gaps and keep the linebackers clean. That's a given. The other thing that they want to get out of him is pass rush. So they've been talking about changing up his stance to get more power from his first step. And we even had Brandon Tucker on the Final Word where he talked about that. The difference between explosive first steps and steps that's not explosive starts with your stance. So one of the first things to look for when we're looking for clues to me in this OTAs as stuff that's going to take us over the hump to be able to win a Super Bowl is the stance. That's number one. Clue number two to look for, in my opinion, in OTAs that's going to let me know if we are clearly on track for potentially making it to a Super Bowl or winning the Super Bowl. And the clue is best five. Now, there are already some clues that came out from the previous practices where you can see that they had Tyron Smith at the right tackle, right? Which is a clue of what their intentions are with the best five philosophy. So at this point, when we first start talking about best five, it was truly just a philosophy. But now there's been a lot more talk. So Mike Solara came out and he talked about wanting the best five. Then Michael Gelkin confirmed that there are talks in the building aggressively about the best five. And then finally last week Stephen Jones came out and named the best five. He didn't do it in particular order because some people think that he was naming it from left to right. I don't think so, because he has Zach Martin last, which definitely is not saying that they want him to play right tackle. So he was just naming the best five. And he said that basically he's going to allow training camp to play it out. So in these type of camps, the OTAs, to where you're putting in the install and these guys are basically learning their jobs. So that's something to listen for, to be looking out for. And I'm frankly going to need y'all help, because as much as I try to keep my ear to the ground and to stay abreast of what's going on, sometimes you just miss it. Sometimes you can't be everywhere at the same time. You can't listen to all the news sources. You try, but sometimes you don't. So if y'all catch wind of stuff coming out of OTAs, different clues like this picture right here, please send it to me. Send it to my DM, hit me up on Twitter. But that's definitely a clue to look for. Because see, this clue is exponentially important, because this clue is, or the best five clue is basically telling, well, it's going to tell me how we plan to counter the threats that's out there. And we've been talking about the threats on this channel for about 2 weeks, but there's some clear threats, and we've talked about this before, but just threats in our division, threats outside of our division. So having a strong middle three is something that's going to be very important, in my opinion, to our ability to have real contention, because of the threats that's coming that we know we're going to have to face. So, you know, keeping the eye on the news of OTAs and their plan for best five is going to be real key going forward, at least to my optimism of whether or not we likely going to win or make it to a Super Bowl. Because I think the best five and having the right middle three is one of those keys. So another thing that I want all of us to keep our eye on is also clues for the identity of the offense. Just keeping a real close eye on that, because we know between Brian Schottenheimer and we know between Mike McCarthy that there's some identity that they have been talking about, but it's going to be more of a merging of the identity. But we also know Mike McCarthy for some time has really been wanting to emphasize a West Coast offense. And they're going to be mixing those principles with a heavy run philosophy with Brian Schottenheimer. So what are the clues that's really showing what they're going to do? OTAs is going to give that away, and that's something else we should keep our own, is getting now this is something, to be honest, I'm gonna be all the way honest with you, this is not something we want the world to know. This is something we just want to know. We just want to have a clear picture of what the future could be, because we cracked the code on Kellen Moore. Like, we've all done investigative research. A lot of us have done a lot of investigation where we figured out his option route system, his no identity offense, taking what the defense gives you. Like, we cracked his code. And if we cracked his code, obviously defensive coordinators, some of them cracked his code as well. But we're looking for the new code. This ain't something that we have to know, but this would also give me more security in understanding what's going to be the philosophy of our offense. Because obviously Mike McCarthy been saying the right things in terms of he need an offense that caters to the strength of the team, which is our defense. And that's one of the reasons why he's been very heavy on running down ball, because he wants to be complementary. So we want to see the complementary coming out of OTA. So that's another clue to look for. The last clue that's also dealing with identity to me to look for is fullback and fullback packages, because that's going to tell us a lot. Because shout out to my brother Jay Tuck, he did a great video with Brian Schottenheimer's vision and he laid out, when he was the offensive coordinator, how he was one of the few offensive coordinators that still believes in the power of the run game as well as the power of the fullback. So looking at how many packages are being run with fullbacks is going to give us a big clue of which identity is leading, the West Coast with Mike McCarthy or a power run game with Brian Schottenheimer. And looking at how many fullback packages is going to tell you which side they're leaning on. And that's going to give, the more we know and the more I know, the more comfort that I'm gonna have going into the season, because I'm gonna have a full understanding of what the Dallas Cowboys are likely trying to do. So as we get into this new season of OTAs and kind of going through, like we just got through with the rookie mini camps, but now we get into the real deal where they're bringing everybody in, and so now we can really start honing in to the clues that's going to tell us the direction of the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I do believe that this is one of the best built teams in years. Matter of fact, I haven't seen the Dallas Cowboys put together so complete since the 90s. We do lack kicker. I'm not sleeping on that. We do have a hole at left guard. But other than that, this team is phenomenal. And it looked like we're very poised to go make another run at it. The schedules are out, so it's not easier. But this is still a good team that's going to do some things pending key injuries not happen at the worst times. But hey, I just want to bring y'all what to look for. And if y'all have any things to look for, put it in the comments. Leave your thoughts on what you're looking for, because obviously your voice matter as an executive, and we want to hear from you, and that's going to make all of us better. But this is another Measure Koolaid report of what to look out for these OTAs as you're seeing news. And again, I want to get y'all comments on this as well. But y'all stay up. It's Boss Cowboy Sports, where your voice matter. Peace.